I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Howard sent me agree to disagree an email. Well, it was about 2 months ago now, isn't it, Howard? Just asking like if he could come on, have a sort of debate, and we've arranged to have a chat tonight, but we haven't really nailed the topic down. We've got like a choice of topics, haven't we, which you're willing to talk about. So you say no?
No.
I'm
sorry, but you actually emailed me to appear on your show.
Did I? Was it one of my phishing emails? Okay, so I emailed Howard to see if he would come on the show. Sorry, mate. I'll address that. I emailed that many people and get that many emails. But anyway, so Howard has come up with a list of topics that he possibly wants to discuss. And I believe he's put a video together for us to watch as like an opener. And we'll just see where the debate goes. So I'm interested to see what he's got. So Howard, have you got your video there?
Nah.
No. Okay.
I didn't bother because from previous experiences with that accomplice of yours, FTFE, I've realized that it's not a lack of evidence with you guys. It's you're all suffering mind control. We've all been hypnotized, and I've realized that I need to spend a bit more time pointing out the patterns that I'm seeing. And maybe then you'll see the evidence that's at plain sight that we've all been showing you for the last few years.
Okay, well we'll do it like this. I'll give you your opening. You can have your 8-minute sort of opening on whatever topic is you want. I'll have 8 minutes to respond. You know, we agreed over email. This is one place where we don't talk over each other. We don't interrupt. You'll not be interrupted, and you know, as long as I'm not interrupted, we won't have to be muting each other. Yeah, you don't need to cross fingers. I will not interrupt you. I don't do that over here. So hopefully we'll get somewhere with it. Obviously, the chances of me agreeing with you are slim, but that's the nature of the channel, isn't it? Let's maybe agree to disagree. So I'll give you your 8 minutes, and I will sit and listen to what you got to say. Off you go. Have you got time there, Creaky, actually, if you're moderating?
Yeah. There we go. Whenever you're ready, Howard.
Okay. So, my name's Howard George Stirrup, and I'm a globe skeptic. I've been suffering for the last few years from ad hominem insults because I'm a little bit dyslexic, and sometimes I mix up my words, like thermostat instead of thermometer. And I get ridiculed for making primary observations instead of trusting in secondary information. So, like many other people that are searching for truth, I consider myself the bloke that cries wolf. For the last 4 years, I've been raising awareness about the dangers of maintaining blind faith in what you're told to believe, and that it's dangerous to just go along with the official narratives just because, you know, you're dazzled, you might be being misled by the Pied Piper. And, you know, I've been called all sorts, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You can't label me paranoid. I'm not seeking attention. I wouldn't want this kind of negative attention. I'm just well aware of manipulation and delusion being real and not just something you see on television. And I've had personal experience, so like all of us. So now I'm trying to help others by exposing the lies and promoting the scientific method to end all these divisive debates. During these 4 years, I've offered money on national Spanish television. I've promoted the reproduction and comparison of results from some practical experiments, easy. I've done face-to-face interviews, and I'm debating YouTubers and keyboard warriors at all hours of the day. So yeah, I've got personal experience. I've noticed many reoccurring patterns involving intellectual arrogance, sarcasm, slander. And this year, the use of guilt, shame, and fear, all to deflect from us using common sense to instead react on emotions. Now, so I didn't bother making a video because the problem isn't a lack of evidence. The problem's psychological. So, you know, let's see if we can get to it. And like I say, we've all been hypnotized and we're all waking up from different deceptions. Sadly, the people that are more academically qualified and good at memorizing things and maybe not dyslexic like me, they're the hardest ones to wake up, because they're too proud of their knowledge that they've acquired to realize that what they know might not be true and that they should check for themselves. So let's go through the list that I gave you of stuff that I'm willing to talk about and see what evidence you have, because I don't have any beliefs. I'm asking questions, I'm raising awareness, and I'm asking people to compare results instead of their opinions. So YouTube videos have been deemed non-trustworthy. Depictions of observations have been intentionally classified as memes to discount their importance. Just as the term conspiracy theorist has been used to dissociate integrity from an investigation made against the authoritative figure in question. So you subscribers to this channel have got the free will to either search for truth or to stay in bliss. I can only point out the patterns and the simple first-hand truths that a lot of us have been distracted from, because maybe the devil's in the details. So please take note. Number 1, globe syndrome. We know that spirals are used to help hypnotize people and get them to go in a trance-like state of suggestion. So we've been given spirals with the globe. We're told we're spinning. We're told that we're evolving the sun, and we're told that the sun is shooting through space, lost in space. Without any evidence, we're told to believe in this with blind faith and ignore our common senses and all the reproducible evidence that we can experience. Now, here's the patterns. The catchphrase is flat earthers. I'm not a flat earther. I don't like this picture that you've used for the thumbnail, and I'm sick of being called a flat earther. I'm a globe skeptic. I'm not claiming a model. I'm not preaching no beliefs. I'm asking for evidence, because I can see way too far for the dimensions that we're told this earth is. So they're lying to us about the dimensions. Like I said in my first video, you can't prove curvature at any distance without optical illusions and atmospheric conditions. Yet we can see really far without any optical illusions or special conditions. So yeah, the globe's a lie. I don't know what shape it is. Maybe it's a 4th or 5th dimensional shape. We're just thinking 3D shapes because they like us to stay in this little paradigm of arguing. So we've been given the negative priming with all the images of the boats going off. We've been hit with repetition. Every time you turn on an iPhone, you get a globe. They spin it round to laugh at us for doing scientific investigations and experiments, making out we're science deniers. You're the sci-fi fanatics for preaching your beliefs and secondary information and just sticking to the 3D shapes. And why? Just to keep us distracted and divided from exploring for ourselves, from the fact that children are being indoctrinated with beliefs as if they're facts, and the massive misappropriation of taxes, all by planting agents in special places and promoting content creators that keep people from making progress, keep people in the debate over a 3D shape. You guys are great at that. While flaunting the revelation of the method like a hypnotist, with multiple theories to keep us confused, CGI that looks so fake that it must be real, and contradictory statements, all causing people who have invested their time to learn and even committed themselves to promote their findings and the official narrative. This makes fanatics, and it causes us to be in denial. Like a manipulated partner that suffers cognitive dissonance when catching their lover cheating, they make excuses and black out the ugly truths. Yeah. Number 2, evolution. So you got no evidence of evolution. All we've seen is kinds changing within kinds. So dogs make different kinds of dogs. Cats make different kinds of cats. We've never seen a species jump to another kind, as you know from debating Kent Hovid. We've got repetition of evolution everywhere. We keep seeing these images of the monkeys. We hear these spin stories about Lucy and these skeletons that are later found out to be false. Lucy, maybe for Lucifer, who knows? And all these far-fetched explanations and large numbers of years that can't be justified. This equals religion, faith, and it causes us to have the programmed reaction of pride, because we feel like we've advanced from primitives while ignoring all the grand architecture and the free energy understanding that they possessed, because we're full of pride. And they use the Hegelian dialectic in all of these points. I'll name a few, because they give us the millions of years, knowing, like I say, we can't prove it, but it justifies it if you believe it. And the real reason of evolution is because our ego, just like you could call it Kundalini if you're into yoga, or go to the Garden of Eden if you're into the Bible, our ego wants to evolve into something better than we are. So we're obsessed with evolution, and we make up crap like the Big Bang, which again has got its own catchphrase. It is the Big Bang. And all the negative priming we get, positive priming, should I say, from all the space motion pictures, all the cartoon satellites with their dodgy imagery, and the rocket launches over the Bermuda Triangles. So, you know, you've got no evidence for Big Bang. We just get more repetition and more scientists spinning, saying that, you know, it's a fact and that anything else is theory, when it's called the theory of evolution. It's the theory of Big Bang. It's all crap. And you guys are preaching beliefs, acting like you're into science, and then you're ridiculing people that are actually doing science. So yeah, for 4 years.
Howard, that's 8 minutes, pal.
No problem. I've still got some for later.
Yeah, cool. Katz?
Okie dokie. Right, okay, thanks, Howard, for that. Right, I think you hit the nail on the head when you started and you said the problem is a psychological problem, and it is a psychological problem. I think you've ticked a lot of boxes there that a lot of globe deniers, globe skeptics, whatever you want to call yourselves, have. And that is essentially, they just like to say, gravity is only a theory. Evolution is only a theory. We have no evidence for this. We have no evidence for that. But I'm willing to bet that if I asked you now how many scientific papers you've written, and how many scientific papers you've read, and if I was to ask you what was wrong with those scientific papers, the answer would be you haven't read any scientific papers, and you can't tell me what's wrong with them because you haven't looked at the. Now you can tell me if you have after this 8 minutes. You can name the scientific papers you've read, and you can name what's wrong with them. But I'm willing to bet that you just haven't read any of them at all, and yet you're claiming there's no evidence. That's like me not even opening the fridge and complaining to the wife there's no food in. You know, that's exactly how I see people who are globe skeptics or evolution deniers. It's a refusal to look. I think also we mix in with that the fact that there is a lack of ability to understand some of the concepts. And when for example, a globe denier wants to talk about the atmosphere, when they want to talk about trigonometry and how Polaris destroys any notion of a flat Earth, and is very, very strong evidence for a globe, the flat earther will lack the basic skills of trigonometry. And we can, you can maybe walk me through trigonometry when we're done and show me how trigonometry works. And you can tell me when I present you that evidence of trigonometry, why that isn't evidence for the globe. So I'd look forward to that. That might be when we start the back and forth. I'll give you some time to think about it. Your chance to destroy how Polaris is evidence. You can tell me what's wrong with the trigonometry. So I'll give you that opportunity for that. But for now, just to show you how ridiculous the whole notion is that the Earth isn't a globe, can I share my screen, Creaky?
Yeah, share it away.
So if I share here's just some things that are completely unimaginably unexplainable on any shape of the Earth that isn't a globe, without the explanations contradicting each other. So, for example, we can explain the sunsets, the sunrise, the seasons, celestial poles, Jupiter's moons, and obviously that works in with, we use that to model and test our predictions about gravity. We can use the retrograde motion of planets, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, tides, all of the things that are on here, all of them. I have never, ever seen a single explanation of how any of these are actually possible on a planet that isn't a globe, ever. And when somebody's tried to give me one, when they tried, they clearly all contradict each other. Right? So maybe I should make that a little bit clearer. I've never seen somebody try and give me two explanations for two of these things that don't immediately contradict each other. It's not out there. All right? It is just not there. So if you want to provide, if you're a globe skeptic and you want to provide an alternative for the globe, then you're going to have to look at all these things and you're going to have to say to yourself, okay, what shape of an Earth other than a globe might a sunrise work on? And you might come up with 10, 15, 20 different shapes. And then you're going to have to ask yourself, how compatible is that with the seasons? How compatible is that with the celestial poles? How compatible is that with the eclipses and the tides? And what you'll find is that as you're going through this, you'll realize that they're not compatible. The only one that's compatible with all of them is the globe. All right, but what I've never, ever, ever seen is a globe denier, like or globe skeptic or flat earther, ever do any of the serious hard work and do the maths on any of these. Anybody actually produce a scientific explanation on any of these because they don't have this, they're not equipped with the skills to do it. What they're equipped with is a mindset that they just want to say, oh, a theory is just a theory, which again, we'll get into later on because obviously you don't know what a scientific theory is. They just grip with the mindset that there's no evidence and a theory is just a theory and that's it. But the reality is you are not opening that fridge and looking for that food, right? You are not looking for yourself. You're expecting people, and you've highlighted that in this debate tonight. You've come on here and said to me, you want me to give you loads of evidence, almost as if I've got to come and convince you of things you could have gone and looked for yourself. So when we do start back, and I don't really think I've got much more to say because I didn't plan an opening on this, but I think the one thing I'm going to be looking for as we're having this debate tonight is asking you, when we get onto whatever topic, what research have you done on that topic and why is it not good enough? And I've got a feeling, I'm going to make a prediction, that you haven't done the research on it. You haven't read the papers. You don't understand the simple things like geometry and trigonometry. I have a feeling that that's what's going to come out of it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll be able to tell me why, for example, trigonometry and Polaris isn't very strong evidence for a globe. Maybe you've got an understanding of trigonometry. I guess we're going to find out. I think that's my opening done.
I don't know which way you want to do it now, Katz and Howard, obviously, because we are running a little bit behind, whether you just want to get straight into the back and forth and I'll just sit on the sidelines and moderate.
I think the thing is, like I said, I'm happy with that, mate. I think the thing is, like I said to Howard before, just as long as we aren't interrupting each other, we don't need to be doing alternate times. So, Howard, I'll let you start, and then I'll just answer whatever you've got to say. Go on, mate.
So everything I said went right over your head.
So, no, everything you said to me is stuff that I've heard a million times before from people who cannot articulate any sort of geometry, any sort of science, any sort of understanding. So you asked me for evidence. So let's do this now. Creaky, can I screen share again? I did say I'd do this.
Before you do.
Okay.
You see, it all went over your head because my whole point is this isn't about me. This isn't about my understanding or my lack of understanding. This is about evidence. And I've shared loads on my Facebook, on my YouTube, on all the platforms, Instagram. I've shared all my primary observations and I've been offering money on national Spanish television. 10,000 euros. Did you hear about it?
I didn't know.
Guess what, guys? Well, that's the censorship you see we're facing. Weird one, but that's another topic. Even when you offer 10,000 euros, people still can't just go and make the observations and compare evidence. They want to natter about who understands what a scientific theory is and what your understanding of trigonometry is. And there, please, I don't care if you're more academically qualified or more intelligent than me. I'm open-minded and I'm questioning what I'm being told. I've done a primary observation from Benidorm to Alicante, and I can see the buildings from top to bottom. I've done an observation from Denia to the island of Ibiza, and I can see the island of Ibiza, and I can see Krabi from Phuket and Phuket from Krabi in Thailand, and I can see Isle of Man from Blackpool. That's the evidence. Stop judging me with your little arguments about my character or my lack of understanding and address the evidence. What have you got?
Well, first of all, you haven't shown me any evidence. You've come here and you've said you've got these fantastic flat Earth proving observations, but you've not brought any. So it's very difficult for me to debunk something that you've not got in front of me to show me. Hang on. Wait, remember, we don't interrupt here, mate. I won't interrupt you. And, okay, so it's very, very difficult for me to debunk the evidence that you haven't brought. Does that make sense? How can I possibly debunk your evidence that you haven't given me?
It went right over your head again. Did you not hear what I said? You can find all of my evidence on my YouTube, my Facebook, Howard George Stirrup. Check me out. It's my name. And you can see my primary observations. Try to. The
point of this, but George, Howard, sorry. The point of this is it's a debate, isn't it? So we come to the debate and we bring our evidence to the debate, and then we debate the evidence. Like I've never met someone before who I've come to debate. I've brought my evidence and my PowerPoints, willing to talk about it, and the opponent has just said, "Oh, I'm not bringing any evidence." But if you want to nip over to my YouTube page, it's all there, which is what you're doing. You've either brought evidence to the debate or you haven't. So 30 seconds. So I guess what I'm asking is, have you actually brought any evidence to this debate for anything? Brilliant. Right. Do you want to show it? Do you want to show it? Brilliant.
If you let me. It's called common sense, reasoning, and I'm thinking in Spanish. Comparison. Let's compare evidence. I've told you where you can find mine. And guess what? I'm not asking you to believe my evidence, because I've realized all these people that are thinking that Earth might be flat, they're great. They're doing the investigation. They're doing the primary observations. But guess what? They're all obsessed that maybe these people need to see a further distance. No, you've seen enough. Stop acting like you need to see my evidence. I've told you where it is. I'm not asking you to believe something that you don't see. We all see the horizon at eye level when we go up on an aeroplane, or if you jump out a parachute like I did. You can all see the horizon is level. You can all see things over water along the coast. I'm not asking you to believe in anything. I'm telling you that what you can see is correct. You're the ones that are telling me I should believe something. So you're the ones that should show me something that is different to what I'm looking at. I don't need to show you what you can see. You can see for yourself if you've got the mind.
And what I see are two things. I see that you've brought no evidence. Right, so we'll establish that. I've got a couple of points I'll answer, but we'll establish that you've brought zero evidence to the debate that we are both meant to bring evidence to. You've brought zero. And you're telling me that it's somewhere else, but you're not going to show it me. You're not going to bring it. You're not going to show it me, but it's brilliant, right? It's absolutely brilliant evidence that I really need to see, but you're not going to bring it. Fine. The second thing I'll just let us finish and I'll come back to you.
1 minute video. So
that's fine. That's fine. But remember, we don't interrupt. Remember, we don't interrupt. Okay. Has he been muted, Creaky?
Yeah, he's muted.
Yeah, he's muted. So, Howard, I will never interrupt you, but you've just been muted over that. Like, I will let you finish every single time if you just let me finish every single time. Because honestly, this isn't like Nathan Oakley's show where people scream and shout and get angry with each other. Like, we might disagree and it might get heated, but we will allow each other time to speak. Yeah? Are you happy with that? I will never interrupt you. Yeah?
I'll quite happily mute as well.
If you lie, I'm going to interrupt. See, I don't lie, so you have no right to interrupt me. I'm not lying.
Well, Howard, this is how adults do it. I'll be honest. We've started a debate, and you've brought no evidence to the debate. Howard, if you can't, I'm going to be absolutely honest now. If you can't do the debate without interrupting, and if you're going to be the judge, if you think you can be the judge of who's lying and just interrupt when you want, then you may as well just leave. Like, seriously, this is an adult thing. You may as well just leave if that's how you're going to behave. I can't hear it. So we'll try this again. But what we can do is we can switch to me having 3 minutes to talk and you having 3 minutes. But I'm not entertaining kids. You can leave. Bye then, dickhead.
Bye.
I don't know. Oh well. What should we do now then?
Well, I don't know. I was going to bust out. I was going to bust out the old Polaris and the trigonometry and get him to tell us why the trigonometry was wrong. But at the end of the day, he clearly doesn't want to listen. This is a nice little diagram here, which means that we're seeing things that should be in the sky. Right. For example, here we're seeing things that should be in the sky a little bit lower down. And if I show some pictures of that, I'm not going to do a whole lecture on it. But if I This was my PowerPoint. This is what I prepared for old Howard, who...
Hang on, you mean you brought evidence to a debate?
I brought evidence to a debate, yeah. This is... Everyone's getting to see my stuff now. And there we go. So this would be an example.
Here I am in Benidorm Beach, looking at the streetlights of San Juan beachfront 20 miles away at water level, making this reproducible observation irrefutable evidence that we're being lied to about the dimensions of where we live.
Commented in one of George's, or Howard's, what it's called. And where Howard wanted to say that the moon give off cold light, and he'd done this experiment. He was literally using baking trays, almost reflective baking trays of different colours in different environments. You know, it was just incredibly poor.
My favourite experiment is verifying if moonlight chills during the waning phase, which is 1 week within the full moon. You can simply use a glass of water and a thermometer, or you can compare wet and snow surface temperatures. A dry surface is a negative control, and avoid other misreadings like radiative cooling by comparing the moonlight to unsheltered shaded areas, and manipulate the effect even more with a magnifying glass to confirm the independent variable.
Just shaded areas take longer to cool down, because that's all it is.
Yeah, but he was using different materials with different heat capacities and emissivities, and also it was an embarrassment to watch. I was really hoping that was going to be one of the videos he brought up, but
Hopefully you are now convinced to go and look for yourself and to share your findings. We still have a few quick things to add. After all, we don't want you thinking that we just jump to conclusions. It's a big challenge to motivate people to verify something that conflicts with their beliefs. Have no fear facing the ridicule and sarcasm from the many people who are strong believers in what they've been taught. It is a shocking revelation, and a lot to take in at once. But that's the difference between keeping an open mind to anything unverified and falling into a belief system.
I am a bit disappointed, if I'm being honest, because from everything I'd seen about Howard, I was getting the feeling that he was a real... I know he said he wasn't a conspiracy theorist, but he clearly is. That you can't trust the man, and they are all controlled by the Illuminati. And I was hoping he'd notice my swanky new Illuminati tattoo, but it hasn't triggered anyone yet. Yeah. Yeah. It was just a perfect example of every other flat Earth argument, though, wasn't it? I know the Earth is flat. I can't show you it's flat. I can't offer any scientific explanation as to why it's flat or how what we see in our daily life supports it being flat. I just know. And that's the entirety of their argument, from my understanding, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flat earthers have got an incredibly low standard for the evidence that they will accept. So what they consider to be evidence of a flat Earth, but they've got an unrealistically high standard for the evidence that proves them wrong. Is essentially what it was. So if they think it can be slightly twisted to demonstrate a flat Earth, doesn't matter if it's a sock hanging on a lamppost, that proves flat Earth. But you can provide them with the most comprehensive observations, experiments that disprove the flat Earth, and oh no, that's not good enough. Yeah. That's not good enough. You know, if I call a flat Earther a moron, that ain't being nasty, because flat Earthers are morons.